Also, we're in an anti-AAPI climate right now, so I was concerned about my personal safety, having experienced verbal assaults and cyber attacks personally. I felt that marginalized community members were initially not very well represented at all. In fact, it was quite terrible. But I think that a few of us must have spoken up because Healthy Democracy staff responded by offering creative solutions in a transparent way, in a way that people were able to agree with. So, one is the survey that was sent out to underrepresented communities and presenting the survey result in a beautiful way that opened people's hearts and minds. Um, Invitation to form a caucus was also really important. I think a lot of us didn't know how we're supposed to behave in that space and what the rules were. So just having that explicit invitation to form a caucus for people of color was really helpful. I was able to connect with other people of color, and we were able to kind of at least connect with each other and get to know that I wasn't alone or nobody was alone. A lot of people actually were feeling similar thoughts. Um, Also making space for people to invite um, underrepresented community members to present was really a huge turning point for me. Um, I think it validated our existence in town in a way that wouldn't have happened otherwise. I want to thank Healthy Democracy now for doing such a graceful job of accommodating our concerns and coming up with solutions that we probably wouldn't have thought of, but I thought were really effective and gentle. It wasn't a perfect process by any means. I mean, but democracy is not perfect. So it was a beautifully imperfect process, and I felt so honored to be a part of it, and I think it changed my life. And judging from talking to others, it changed theirs too. So um, thank you so much, and I hope this helps.
Um, how well did you feel the people with marginalized identities were represented in the information presented to the panel? I felt that Healthy Democracy did their best in trying to get a broad representation. It was far from perfect, no one's perfect, but they did very well under the circumstances. It reminds me of what one panelist said. They had grown up here in Petaluma their entire lives, and this was a Petaluma that they had never seen before, but that it made them happy to see such a broad spectrum that they didn't typically see in their day-to-day lives. So I really liked that, the way that I wished that the Latino community had more inclusion in the idea phase of what could be done with the location in the future.
I feel like the panel, while not perfect, did a decently good job of representing all Petalumans from all walks of life. There were a couple of communities that were somewhat underrepresented, for example, the deaf community, but for the most part, the panel did a good job of trying to capture some of the smaller communities of Petaluma. I definitely noticed my identity as a Latino person, as part of the Latino community, talking about how the fairgrounds are basically the mingling point and interaction point of all of these different subcultures present throughout the city. It coming up thinking of like the things that are important to that community for me and to other communities I'm part of that also use the fairgrounds. Staff and moderators' efforts try to get everyone to see each other not by our identities but simply as just people working together on a project went a long way to making sure there wasn't any animosity for one reason or another, and making sure that people from all different parts of the city, all different walks of life, could get along and work together to make their home a better place.